The soft hum of hospital machines filled the quiet room, but somehow it didn't feel cold. Michael sat in the corner, shoulders slightly hunched, staring out the window at the drizzle-slick streets of Boston. It had been a year since his wife, Anna, passed, and not a day went by that he didn't feel the ache of her absence. Friends had tried to pull him out of his grief, but grief has a stubborn way of rooting itself inside you. Across the hall, a young woman named Claire adjusted the blanket over her lap, wincing as a nurse fussed over her foredrip. At 28, she shouldn't have been here. At least, that's what she told herself every morning. Cancer had a cruel sense of timing, striking just when life seemed bright. And yet, she carried herself with certain fragile courage, as if by sheer willpower she could bend reality in her favor. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Now, let's dive into the story. Their worlds collided one rainy Thursday morning in the hospital's physical therapy room. Michael had been encouraged to attend group sessions to help with his mobility. Arthritis and lingering fatigue from stress had slowed him down. Claire was there for her routine post-chemotherapy exercises. "Hi," she said, glancing at him, a hesitant smile tugging at her lips. Michael blinked, startled. Hi." Something about her voice, soft, yet resilient, made him feel something he hadn't felt in a long time, a flicker of warmth. He gave her a small nod and returned to his stretches, silently grateful for her presence. Days turned into weeks, and the small gestures, shared smiles, passing water bottles, quiet encouragement during exercises, became a lifeline. Michael found himself looking forward to those mornings, and Claire, in turn, began to anticipate his quiet humor and the way his eyes crinkled when he tried to hide a smile. "You know," Claire said one day, balancing herself on the parallel bars, "I never thought I'd look forward to physical therapy, but somehow it's nice having someone to talk to." Michael cleared his throat. "Yeah, nice." The word felt inadequate, but it was all he could manage. They began sharing small stories. Claire about her dreams of traveling the world, Michael about his late wife and the small, mundane joys he missed. Cooking dinner with her, Sunday morning walks, the way she laughed at the silliest jokes. It wasn't long before their conversations began stretching beyond the hospital walls. Texts in the evening, coffee at the hospital cafe, even walks around the nearby Boston Common. When Claire had a good day, Michael was careful. He didn't want to get attached. Grief had taught him the cost of loving too much, of hoping too fiercely. But Claire's laughter was contagious, and her resilience, it reminded him that life could still be beautiful. One evening, as they sat on a bench beneath the amber glow of the street lamps, Claire whispered, "Do you ever feel guilty for being happy, even for a moment?" Michael stared at the wet pavement, thinking. "Every single day," he admitted. "But then I think, maybe happiness isn't a betrayal. Maybe it's a way to honor the people we've lost." Claire smiled softly. "I like that. I want to believe that too." The bond between them deepened, moving from shared pain to shared hope. Yet, life has a way of reminding us of its fragility. Claire's health began to decline. Fatigue became more pronounced, and treatments left her weaker than before. Michael watched her struggle with a mix of fear and helplessness he hadn't felt in years. One afternoon, after a particularly grueling therapy session, Claire collapsed before she could even reach the bathroom. Michael caught her just in time. Her face was pale, eyes wide with fear, and for a moment, it felt like the world had shrunk to just the two of them. "You scared me," Michael whispered, holding her gently. I didn't mean to," Claire choked out. Tears streamed down her cheeks, not just from physical pain, but from the vulnerability of facing it alone. "You're not alone," he said firmly, though inside, his own chest felt like it was breaking. The weeks that followed were a delicate dance of hope and fear. Michael found himself not just supporting Claire, but confronting his own grief head-on. He shared memories of Anna, talked about the guilt he carried, and slowly, through conversations and tears, he realized that healing didn't mean forgetting. It meant living despite the pain. One rainy evening, Michael and Claire sat by her hospital window, watching the city lights shimmer on wet streets. Claire turned to him, a weak but genuine smile on her face. "Michael, thank you," she whispered, "for being here, for everything." He took her hand in his, fingers intertwined. "I should be the one thanking you. You remind me that love doesn't end when someone dies. It's carried forward in the people we meet, in the hearts we touch." They sat there in silence, letting the sounds of the city and the soft beeping of machines fill the space between words. It wasn't a fairy tale. Neither of them was naive. But in that moment, The hospital walls seemed less like a cage and more like a sanctuary. Months passed. Claire's condition fluctuated, but Michael never left her side. They celebrated small victories. A day without pain, a therapy milestone, even just a laugh shared over a cup of hospital coffee. Then came the evening when Claire's condition took a sharp turn. Michael was called to her room urgently. Nurses hustled around, machines beeped frantically, and he felt the old fear clawing at his chest. She was pale, frail, yet when she saw him, her lips curved in a small, reassuring smile. "You're here," she whispered. "Always," he replied, squeezing her hand. "I'm not going anywhere." In that quiet, fragile space between life and death, Michael realized the depth of what they had shared. It wasn't just love. It was trust, vulnerability, and the courage to face the world knowing someone had their back. Claire survived the night, and as she slowly recovered, the two of them discovered something even more profound. Healing doesn't mean life stops being hard, or that pain disappears. Healing means finding someone to hold on to when the storm hits. It means choosing love, even when it's messy, complicated, and fleeting. One bright morning, as sunlight streamed to the hospital windows, Michael and Claire walked through Boston Common, hands entwined, hearts quietly mending together. Neither had all the answers, and neither knew what the future would hold, but they had each other. And sometimes that was enough. Love had returned to their lives, not the perfect, storybook kind, but the real, messy, human kind. And in that love, they found hope, courage, and a reason to keep moving forward. Because some hearts, even broken ones, can heal together. I hope you like the story. For more intriguing stories, please subscribe our channel and also click on bell button